Welcome to another edition of the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. I'm Donald Grodoff, family coach with FamilyOCD.com and FocusedHealthyFamily.com. In the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast series, I delve into the hidden characteristics of OCD, anxiety, and anxiety disorders, the things that most people don't see, that are behind closed doors and shut within the mind about anxiety. My goal with these podcasts is to bring about awareness of obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. Understand that I am not a doctor, therapist, or counselor, and the content, information, resources, and ideas that are talked about and brought up here in these podcasts are things that I have used, discovered, or have been recommended to me, and I always recommend to seek additional professional help in finding solutions for yourself. Thank you for listening and enjoy the podcast. This podcast was recorded December 1st, 2019. And this is podcast 36. It is a special podcast by the Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. It is the best of 2019 Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. This has been a busy and challenging year, 2019, both in personal and in practice. You know, in my personal life, I've had to deal with my second child dealing with OCD and having to figure that out and help to find some type of recovery, which we have done. It's been going on longer than 2019, but it continued in 2019, and we've had to do quite a bit of work with that child. And to say that it has gone fairly well, but still challenging. And of course, in a more personal factor of home repairs, we've had some major things happen this year that we've had to deal with in our home, being septic systems and water systems, and the last 2 years have been the years of water, I think, for some reason. And of course, in my private practice, where I help people with OCD and other anxieties get past it naturally, my wife, who is an occupational therapist, has joined me in my practice. So this has been a year of how to form that together, how to make that really work well. And I think it will. I think we've, it's challenging anytime you put two partners together, whether it be a man, wife, or just two business partners, that there is some time to learn how to work with each other, how to use each other's strengths to the best. And that is a challenge, but it is a challenge that we are working on and I think doing fairly well with. And it's all based under our Focused Healthy Family label, I guess you'd say. We do work with Family OCD also, but we're really putting our emphasis and time there. But this podcast, I hope, will continue into the new year. And finally I had to deal with, and this I'm just now coming out of, and that's open heart surgery that happened on November 1st of this year. As you may or may not know, 8 years ago, 2011, I had a massive heart attack in which I had stents put in. But apparently there were still some parts of that were not healed. And luckily, I didn't have another heart attack. I was able to go in under some pains and have analyzed and realized that I needed open heart surgery. And it was the toughest thing I think I've ever been through. But I made it through it, and I'm here back trying to get things back going again in my life. So it's been a wonderful year. And so in this podcast, what I wanted to do is to touch upon some of what I would call the highlighted podcast of this year. I'm hoping in the future to do an overall best of the whole series of the last. We've been doing this now for just a little over 2 years. We've been doing the podcast, and I feel real good about it. So I may do one maybe in the next year or so where we do the best of the whole series. So I can go back to some of the neat ones that I had. For instance, I had one where I interviewed a friend that I did some training with that had a practice who has since passed away. And it touches me to hear her voice and to know that I had that opportunity to do that. But for now, we're concentrating on this year, 2019, and this week of that I'm going to be putting this out, we're going to have one every day of the week, a different one from the past. For instance, I'm going to let you hear the interview I did with my wife this year about our OCD experience. And there's a doctor that I interviewed with one of the OCD centers. And I looked over some of the other ones where I came up with some what I call creative ideas and challenges about OCD that I put out information on that I want to share again. So that's what this week is going to be about. It's going to be the best of 2019 to share with you and repost and re-examine some of the good podcasts that I think I did this year with you. So you may have heard these already. You may not have. Hopefully they will be a refreshing podcast for yourself. And I'm wishing you the best at Christmas time, at the holidays here, and the best for 2020. Because isn't that the kind of vision we really want to have? Anyway, take care, enjoy your holiday, and I hope the most prosperous New Year's for you. Thank you.
This concludes this podcast. We really would appreciate your comments. Simply leave a comment at www.invisiblewheelchair.com. There, you're able to submit a comment that will help us determine future podcasts. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, please email don@invisiblewheelchair.com. Remember, there is a corresponding tapping recording for each of the podcasts, with the exception of the interview podcast. You can find these tapping recordings and archive past podcasts at www.invisiblewheelchair.com. Finally, there is relief for OCD, and we at FamilyOCD.com and FocusedHealthyFamily.com can help you find that relief. Again, you can contact us through those sites, FamilyOCD.com or FocusedHealthyFamily.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Invisible Wheelchair Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at InvisibleWheel1, that's the number 1, or at FamilyOCD. So thank you for listening. Keep tapping and transcending your life to new heights.